Coming up this week on Inside Iowa Politics, tariffs. What will they mean for our family finances and our business bottom line? We will ask two Iowa Republicans in Congress about what to expect when these tariffs kick in.